Namaste, loves, and welcome to Urban Oracle. I'm Neen Puliano. I'm the creatrix and the owner of Urban Oracle, and I'm really happy to have you here today. So thank you for tuning in. This video is for a very select, very tiny audience. Okay, this is a video to further describe and invite you into a conversation around anyone who is working with a dark entity. I don't mean working with a dark god or goddess. I mean working with the devil, a dark entity, thought form, being, or device. One that asked you to make a form of an agreement with them, that in exchange for this, I'll give you this. Ones who talk to you using verbiage like you need to do, or asking you to do certain things. When you have a relationship like that, I'm only speaking to those who not only have a relationship like that, but they're doing it because they feel it's the only way for them to have a witchcraft practice, or it's the only way for them to have their own spiritual path. And they just don't know other alternatives exist. So if that resonates or feels like it might be you, or maybe you're just curious as to what I'm gonna say next, this video is for you. This is a video of hope. It's a hopefully a fresh perspective on the differences between working with dark entities versus light beings, how to tell the difference, and kind of the danger of working with a dark entity and what that means. So again, I'm not speaking into those who are working with a dark god or goddess to apprentice to working on the dark sides of themselves. That's different, and I'll address that in a minute. But so small audience today of who I'm trying to reach with this, but this topic's been weighing heavy on my heart, and I feel I'm compelled to speak into it. To set the stage here, I'm very much a Care Bear at heart. I'm a total Care Bear. If you're not old enough to understand that reference, Google it. I'm a very heart-centric person. I'm a heart-centric spirituality mentor, and I approach my witchcraft from working only with light beings and working only with white or light magic. So everything I do is heart-centric. I have a do no harm policy with my Urban Oracle community, within my own personal practice and integrity myself. It's all positive, it's all nourishing, nurturing, being of positive service to others, zero harm, do no harm policy. Very firm on that. So, but I was super naive to the fact that there actually are witches out there who strongly believe that it's even part of their culture to practice and utilize cursing and hexing as part of their practice. Some do it as a last resort, some do it habitually. It's just part of the deal that they take up. It's, you know, I'm not even going to get into the practices it's common in, but it totally exists. And my little naive self thought that it was only on TV, and I thought that the whole belief system around that, you know, witches are devil worshippers or they work with demons and all this stuff, I thought was just this huge smear campaign on the word witch, and it was highly misunderstood, and we were persecuted for no reason, and like all these things, only to come find. I mean, I'm full transparency, naive to things that are negative. So I was disheartened to hear about that this is a very real thing. And no, I'm disheartened because when people do something to harm another person, that makes my heart hurt, period. That just makes my heart hurt. Like, oh gosh, you know, unkindness in the world makes my heart hurt. That's just me. That being said, I have no judges or shame regarding cultural beliefs that that's like an ingrained part of your practice. So I'm not actually speaking to those who come from who are hereditary witches, who've had inherited different cultural practices that have been passed down to them that are very normalized and they're a part of their culture. I'm actually not addressing those folks today. I don't feel I have any business talking about that, and I don't know enough to speak into it, and it's also not my culture, so it's not my place, like all these things. I'm not addressing those folks. But who I do wish to reach on this is anyone who is working with not necessarily the devil, but maybe a devil as part of their witchcraft practice, that I just wanted to let you know, in case you didn't know, that there are alternatives. There are alternative ways to connect with nature, to connect with yourself, to connect with spirit, and to have a more mindful, aware, and awakened relationship within your life and with all things that does not involve darkness, or that's not even the best word to use. I would say evil, okay? Working with things that actually don't care about you. So one of the things I want you to consider is that when you're working with a dark entity, dark entities, devils, demons, trickster spirits, devices, all of those types of things, they always have a hidden agenda. Keyword being hidden, meaning they're not going to share it or disclose it with you. They're going to tell you it's something else or whatever they got to say to earn your trust. So what happens is I understand that you are making some type of agreement with them in exchange for power that you feel you need in order to partake and have your practice. They're going to give that to you, provided that you do their bidding and do what they ask you to do, and that you're relying on them to be your mentor. So this frightens me a bit because I don't feel like I feel some folks who engage in relationships like this, not all. Some people are informed and they don't care, and power means everything to them. Obtaining power is the only thing that makes them feel safe or in control, those types of things. And I can't really speak into folks with that type of mindset. Like, I feel like there really isn't much that anybody could say towards folks who have a belief system like that. So carry on, power on, more power to you. But if you're coming into this from a place of you were denied certain needs, basic needs in your life or growing up, you were denied love where it should have been, things like that, where having a relationship like this feels normal to you, and maybe it feels like this is the only option for you. And if you're coming at it from a place like that, I just want to extend myself to say, or extend my awareness to you to say that it's not the only way to practice. You can be a very powerful and grounded and centered and harmonious individual without having to cause anyone or anything harm. It's absolutely possible to do that. But to do that, you need to work with light beings and light-centric practices. So what happens is that darker entities or devils or demons or things like that, they usually start off by asking you to do something or saying you need to do in order to have, in order to be, in order to receive, or whatever. The I need you to, or you shoulds, those kinds of things. Light beings don't say things like that to you. They don't make those types of requests of you. So darker entities, essentially what they're doing is they're going to provide a series of scenarios where there's some give and take going on. And what they're doing is they're creating a setup where they are further earning your trust again and again and again until eventually you become completely complicit with anything they want you to do. And once when they have your full trust, that's when they end up puppeting you for their own personal gain. And I just want you to have the awareness that entities that are working with you in a capacity where they're asking you to do specific things or they're making requests of you, I want you to be aware that it's really, really likely that that entity or spirit that you have been mentored by and are being mentored by actually doesn't care about you, and that they're using you for their own personal gain. So that's a really big danger that comes from working with darker entities. Working with a dark entity is very different than working on the dark side of yourself. Working on the dark side of yourself simply means that you are working on your shadows, you're tending to your grief, you're unpacking your own baggage, you're becoming acquainted with the darkness of night, literally lack of light, like lack of sunlight, lack of electricity, comfortability in that darkness. There's a primal energy within darkness. There's different types of creatures and animals that can see better in the dark, conduct their business better in the dark. And it's about finding and attuning ourselves to the relationship of how we navigate and operate with an absence of light in a holistic way. And it's also about our relationship with death, that life, death, and rebirth cycle, and having comfortability and understanding and assuredness and finding safety and reassurance in that life, death, and rebirth cycle. So approaching one's dark side doesn't mean doing harm to others, cursing and hexing, murdering somebody, like something like really egregious things. Like that's not what exploring the dark side of your gifts or the dark side of your magic is about. There's balance, but it's not so egregious that you're actually creating harm for another being or another person. When you are responsible for the suffering of others, which like you're actively making efforts, say through cursing and hexing, to cause harm, you're inviting yourself to receive not just an equal measure of that harm, but 3 times fold that level of harm. And I don't want that to happen to anybody. I don't want you to receive that. So I feel like I could get so much backlash from saying this. But I just want to put it out there. If you don't agree, it's fine. Everybody has a right to their own belief system. And again, I'm not here to shame or blame or discriminate or anything like that. I'm coming at this from a very heart-centric space and wanting everybody to know that if you weren't raised knowing that there are alternatives in how we approach situations or in how we approach ourselves, how we approach others, how we approach nature and all the beings that exist in it, if you were not taught that there are alternative ways, that you do have the freedom and the power of choice to do certain things in a way that's done from kindness, I just want you to know when it comes to your spirituality, that choice does exist. And I can absolutely empathize and imagine many scenarios where what I just said could be taken in a cultural or racial context, in which case it would be a big conversation about privilege and all of those things, which are very real, very valid, in which case, like, I'm really not trying to speak into that because that's not my place. to say such things. But it's an invitation. I'm inviting you to consider the possibility that you can have a practice that's filled with just light and love and honesty and, being personal challenges and all of that, but it's with light beings, and it's a practice that does no harm. I had no idea that when people think that witches are these evil Satan worshiping people, that how much truth there was in. There are a lot of really dark practices existing today. I didn't know this, and I feel like it's important for me as a light practitioner to shed some light, for not to sound corny, on a very dark issue that not everyone is participating in knowingly. I believe that is possible, that there are people who are practicing dark arts and dark magic and working with dark beings, not knowing that there's an alternative, and they're just not aware of what's at stake, and that their safety is at stake. Their safety and their own well-being is at stake. So I felt really compelled to just bring that to the surface. Nobody has to agree with me on this topic. This is just my personal feelings about it, and me wanting to extend my heart out to those who maybe they needed to hear this today. Again, if you don't agree, please don't go to town and chew me a new one. Here, it's not a nice thing to receive. I would never do that on your site or to any of your videos. So let's be respectful of everyone's unique journeys, their varied experiences. And again, the audience with which I'm casting this message out is to a very small percentage of people who I'm just hoping that this video finds the right people, where they feel hope from this video, an insight or a fresh perspective, and that's it, but I'm here to be of service to those who need me, and I hope to connect with anybody who is meant to work with me. I feel having a mentor is a really powerful and positive experience if you're learning from somebody who does have your best interests at heart, who does care about your safety and the authenticity of your own practice without hidden agendas or for different types of power or personal gain, things like that, or prestige or whatever. It's been coming up. The topic's been coming up, and it's been weighing on me. So I really wanted to extend myself and to put this out there. It's a risk, but it's hopefully for those rare few who are meant to see this. I hope this brings a little bit of hope to your day. Namaste, loves, and I hope you have a beautiful day.